My name is Seyi Olulade. I'm an HR practitioner and also a business consultant. I currently manage a partnership business, a consulting firm called the Impeccable Skills Company. I'm also a certified HR practitioner, and I hold a master's degree in Organizational Behaviour and a bachelor's degree in mass communication. I'm also a trained psychometrician. I'm passionate about people, I'm passionate about organizations, I'm passionate about community integration and development, and also I am a music. I think my voyage into the HR space actually started in about 1998, 97, there and about, when I became first a personal assistant. I actually metamorphosed from being a PA to admin and then personnel. That was what HR was at that time. And that was about late 90s and into 2000 and early 2000, and being a personal assistant and also an admin manager, office manager, I had to deal with people. I had to manage the entire running of the operations of the business. So managing the people effectively as well. So from the recruitment to ensuring that they do what they're supposed to do and they're effective, and the organization, there's productivity, the organization, is effective in offering its services to its clients and end users, So I did that, and my voyage into HR as a practice actually started in 99, 2000, and I came into strategic HR in 2002 as a head of, then it was called personal admin for a media specialist agency. Wow. Oh, my first 30 days in office as an HR professional was, that was 1990. Well, it wasn't so difficult, I would say. Why? Because up until then, HR as a practice was behind the curve, right? So you find a lot of business owners or CEOs, even in medium scale and even large scale organizations that were not multinationals in Nigeria, HR was being seen as something that finance should be doing, and maybe the MD or the CEOs were the ones that were doing the strategic HR. So more like I'd been doing personnel issues, ensuring staff have files, recruit, organization has a need for people, I send words round, I look for, somebody comes in, I help to ensure, I first do the interviews to see whether can this person work in this kind of environment, this kind of person we need in this environment, does this person look the part, and because I'd been doing that, coming into HR, and having attended a fundamental HR training at that time, for me, it just kind of fits what I already knew into the components of what HR should do. So it wasn't so difficult, but I then realized that I needed to be more structured. I do have regrets. I had a bit of, it's not been smooth. I remember my first role as a heading an HR department. Because at that time, I didn't really have a mentor per se. And I used to think I was a talker, so it was all about talking, and bamboozling your way through. But my boss actually required something of me that actually needed an input of somewhat a strategic input. But I didn't know what it was all about. I was never taught. I was never, I was just somebody that grew into the role just like that, and by the time I sent in my report, I was barely a month. I was barely a month into the role. It was almost like, should we fire this person? And I was actually doing my presentation before the board, at that time, and they just felt, well, she looks she needs to be a bit polished, and for Allah, that was how I was sent off for a training in LBS at that time, the same day. So it was quite embarrassing for me. In fact, that day it was like my balloon was deflated. I felt I was the G, But then, over the years, I've heard when I'm carrying out career counseling, particularly for the young folks, maybe for those just leaving school, they haven't served their youth service, and they come, or they just need somebody to chat with. I said, I want to go into HR because I'm a people person. I like to make people happy, and I tell them, you better go and sell bonboniere, you better go and sell bonies, you better go and sell ice cream, sell popcorn, sell pizza, those kind of things that make people happy, because HR is not that. HR is not easy, but if you understand how the people mechanics are, the people dynamics, you are able to understand, because people are the most difficult resources to manage. You can manage money, even when there's no money, you can create money with whatever you have. You can manage infrastructure, but people are rational, they're emotional. So you don't know what, it's different managing people. You have to manage different kind of emotions, the backgrounds and what have you. So it's quite difficult to manage people. But if you're able to understand psychology, you must be deliberate, because for you to be able to be effective in HR, you must understand human psychology. And if you're able to understand that, then you will be able to manage human resource, effective human resource as people. But as a role, you need to understand the science of it. Selling your idea to management, because as it is in Nigeria at the moment, it seems like with the rise of many professionals, global interface and what have you, everybody seems to have the buzz of HR. So you hear business owners, CEOs at top conglomerates talking about, I have my HR director and all. But most times, most of them are not ready for HR strategy and interventions when you are presenting it to them. So they see HR more not as an enterprise center, but as a cost center. My first experience in HR was in the manufacturing, it was a clothes making industry. So you can imagine the kind of people we're dealing with. We had a lot of tailors. So they would not understand some things when you're making demand from them. So your industrial relation tact needs to be, up and doing. You have to do much more, because you have to be able to sell the ideas of management on a futuristic manner to the lower cadre. And for them, it's about immediate gratification. So how do you bridge that gap? So we still find lots of that, but the most difficult part actually is selling and getting the buy-in of management, and for them to be able to allocate resources to your initiatives as an HR practitioner. Well, for me, all through my work-life journey, I won't say I was lucky to be one of those that I was deliberate about moving. But all I knew was that in the future, I want to help businesses and I want to help people. I want to consult. But I wasn't sure of the roadmap to achieving that. But most times I found myself, because I'm a very dynamic person, I could get bored easily. Maybe for me, I've done this, what next? I found out that most organizations looked for me. So I got referrals. So I moved along those lines. And for me, if I look at what the business is all about and the challenges they have, those were the things that actually spurred me to want to take up the roles. Being in the consulting industry, right? It's about management consulting. So we do all the strategy, business leadership. We also do HR consulting. We do brands and communication. Business advisory and what have you. So for me, HR cuts across. Yeah, and for you to be able to profile the right solution for any organization, if you understand the HR dynamics, it helps. One, you understand, because it's about people dynamics. So HR management is managing the people within. So market dynamics is the people outside of the organization and also within the organization. So for me, I still see myself, doing more of interfacing with clients on HR issues, because our focus is actually on SMEs. So we are like looking at the small and medium organizations and how they can evolve into becoming large. For me, I still see myself as an HR practitioner. What I'm doing now, my focus now is to now update myself, keep upscaling, and become relevant and play more in, giving back to the HR community as much as I can. Oh yeah, if I had to start over, I will seize the opportunity of using the mentors that I had. Now, that's the place, that's one area in my career path at the early stage that I did not utilize very well. I had opportunity, to meet some of the best at that time, a few of the best, Mr. Folarin Fulonke of Human Edge, Mrs. Agnes Layode, Reverend Additional Adelowo, they were authorities. And these were people that I had access to, but I did not know how to utilize them. You understand? So I wish I had utilized them. Some mistakes I made, at that time, I probably wouldn't have made them. I would have done maybe much, much better than what I was able to do. I possibly also must have gone further than I was able to reach. So the place of mentorship is one area that I would have really taken advantage of, and every other organization I've worked as a strategic HR practitioner, I'd always been the only woman amidst the men at the management level and also at the board level. So for me, I've always not looked at my role, use my femininity, to influence anything I do. So, lately someone said to me, you behave like a man. I said, no, I behave like a business person. Yeah, so we must realize that, as a woman in HR, you must do HR at the strategic level. If you are at the strategic level, 80% with your head and 20% with your heart. Why am I saying with your heart? 20% with your heart. That's at the strategic level. Because at the strategic level, it's about business first. Before we now start coming to the empathy and emotional aspects. Because you have people underneath, they can now flip and say 60% being emotional, and but it is strictly business. I know that we're in the technology age, and technology brings speed, it brings innovation. But trust me, the place of experience, you can never relegate it to the back. There are forerunners who have been there, gone through the paths, gone through that route before you. So you need mentorship. You need people to hold your hands. And don't you think because your mentor is not technologically inclined, that because you have access to technology, internet, and the knowledge, yes, you can have all those knowledge, but in fitting the knowledge into context, how well can you do that? And that only comes with experience. And experience you can get from tutors, you can get from mentors. My name is Seyi Olulade, and this is my HR Chronicles.